A lot of people ask me what my favorite arcade racing game is. Well, no they don't. Who are you? I'm you, from the future. Well, what are you doing here? I'm here to make sure that you don't finish this intro the way that you planned on it. In this episode, you tell your audience how you prefer Chocobo Racing to Mario Kart, causing the internet to rage quit the video so hard that the entire internet shuts down, causing mass hysteria, missing limbs, children. What about them? Nothing, just felt like saying the word children. Come on, this is crazy. No, it's all true, I swear. Just do yourself a favor. Show the game off, real nice and easy. Make it simple, nobody gets hurt. We'll play the intro theme, it'll go really well.
Ah yes, Chocobo Racing. It all started in the 90s when Nintendo released the racing game onslaught known as Super Mario Kart, and later Mario Kart 64. Just like with mascot-based platforming games before it, everybody and their mother had a kart racing game.
No, I'm serious! Even your mom had a kart racing game!
From Crash Bandicoot to Sonic, video game companies fought to grab hold of the limelight and steal some of Mario Kart's thunderous sales. We've seen some decent copycats, such as Konami's Crazy Racers for the Game Boy Advance, a launch title which featured a huge assortment of Konami characters like Goemon, Dracula from Castlevania, and even the ninja from Metal Gear Solid. Sadly, we've also seen some horrible clones, such as shovelware like Eminem's kart racing on the Wii. So when it came time for Squaresoft's attempt, we received a game that may have gotten a little lost in the shuffle.
Look, I will be the first one to tell you, this is not an amazing game. There's a reason the game received such a lackluster response from both fans and critics alike. Now with that said, I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't have an absolute blast playing this game with both myself and with friends. Strap yourselves in, rev up those engines. Here we go, Chocobo Racing.
Chocobo Racing was and is a misunderstood title. Developed and published by Squaresoft, Chocobo Racing was a clear attempt at a cash-in thanks to the popularity of a certain plumber's famous kart racing game. But the reason why I would sometimes recommend Chocobo Racing more often than Mario Kart is that it offers so much more in terms of gameplay. Childish story and graphics aside, this was a fun, frantic racer that had its share of problems, but I can overlook most of those for its sheer fun factor. In most Final Fantasy titles, story is a large draw for fans, except in Chocobo Racing, where it's dumbed down at best. It's a great preparation for gamers who want to learn every ounce of detail regarding the controls. By laying out each new feature step by step, this is sure to isolate most pick-up and play people who are not looking for a complex learning tutorial. Each of the 9 chapters teaches you each part of the gameplay, and helps you learn as you go. However, this is a racing game, not an extremely complicated battle system, so the story's handholding seems a tad bit overkill. Despite this, if you do not heed the advice of the story, you'll miss something essential about a power-up, and if you don't choose the right setup of character and ability, you will lose matches. When they tell you about Magic Barrier, you better equip it before you take it.
Wait, what?
To keep things simple, we won't get into each character's persona. Just know that they're all painfully laid out and made to be as positively unimportant as possible. The main premise goes something like this. Each character discovers they all have a special magic crystal that gives them various abilities that they use that makes them unique during your playthrough. They gain a new ally and ability with each new chapter in the story until they finally confront Bahamut at the end. Upon defeating Bahamut, he mends the bridge between the planet and Fantasia, and everyone is happy.
Bottom line, nobody cares.
Nothing really happens throughout this story. We see the characters mosey from place to place, racing each opponent only to befriend them. Though, to be honest, most of these characters didn't have much of a personality to begin with, so we really didn't start with much of an expectation. There are some rewarding benefits of story mode, like the performance rating at the end. It gives you points which can be used to create a personalized copy of a regular racer, complete with customizable colors and the ability to save said racer to use against a friend if desired. While I appreciate the depth the game goes into to spell out how to play it, the cutscenes are just way too long and drag on without being remotely funny. This will be one of those stories where you'll be slamming your thumb against the X button, begging for a skippable cutscene. While the first time through the game makes you watch everything, and I mean everything, all the way through, follow-up playthroughs of story mode let you skip the agonizing story, which is great news considering you'll be playing through the story mode to unlock every character. As you go back to story mode, each playthrough allows the opportunity to unlock secret characters, all of which are located at the top right-hand corner by highlighting over Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah, you guys remember Squall, right? When pressing a varied combination of L1, L2, R1, and R2 buttons, there are plenty of characters to choose from. Cloud and his motorcycle from Final Fantasy VII, and Ayabria's police car are fan favorites. While the more obscure characters like Jack and Cactar are welcome additions, the gameplay begins to suffer from experimentation. I like the character selection just fine, but when my regular Chocobo can lap a character like Jack, it means there's a serious flaw in concept. Speaking of slow, check this out. I can't get over this hump because characters like Cactar and Jack are too damn slow. Now I've got to go backwards to grab a speed power up to get enough momentum to get over the gap. That is a serious design flaw, when you can't even get over a regular jump at regular speed with a character.
And who the hell is Jack anyways? Well, he came from 3D World Runner, a NES game that was developed by Squaresoft and published by Acclaim. Why in God's name would anyone want to play as this guy? He's so slow. I think I could go faster backwards. Wait, he does go faster backwards?
Playing as the SS Invincible, the game goes to great lengths to create an unbalance to the character roster. Regular characters in the game work just fine and have their own strengths and weaknesses. However, some of these secret characters are such a stark contrast to the regular cast members in Chocobo Racing. They're either brutally slow or so fast that they can only race clones of themselves, and it's absolutely frustrating to see someone pick the SS Invincible if I'm trying to have a real race with them, because now I also have to pick him. And what fun is that? Picking a specific character because they're preposterously overpowered?
Like Smash Brothers Brawl. Woo. Sorry.
It really makes you wonder, did anyone actually play Mario Kart before making this game? Mario Kart's racers themselves have been mostly fair and balanced. I think it's safe to say that this is Chocobo Racing's biggest flaw when compared to Mario Kart. Having an unstructured roster of secret characters that plays nothing like the remaining cast weakens the experience. I know I'm comparing this game to Mario Kart quite a bit, but there's a reason for that. Mario Kart set the bar for what a kart racer should be. Everything after it is merely a copycat attempt. With that said, here's why all of that doesn't matter as much in this game thanks to a stellar combat mechanic. Racing doesn't always have to be about winning. Sometimes it's the journey to get there that's the most fun of all. And in Chocobo Racing, you'll have multiple different ways to set forth on your paved voyage. Between Versus Mode, Grand Prix, and Relay, there's tons of fun to be had here. My personal favorites are Grand Prix and Relay. Grand Prix is just like Mario Kart. Travel from cup to cup, racing a large assortment of racers to the finish line for the most points for the chance at a first, second, or third place. Simple, yet challenging, depending on the level of difficulty you pick. Relay is my favorite, personally. I'm the sort of person who likes to pick a bunch of different racers and can't stand going with just one at a time. So Relay gives the player the option to go against an opponent where you each pick up to 3 characters for a total of 9 laps. Oftentimes the results can be quite surprising. The weapons and magic system is really the crowning glory of the game that defeats the source material by a long shot. Each character picks the previously mentioned attributes collected in story mode. Some are a real waste, like grip and charge. When you get a handle on the game's surprisingly tight brake drift button, grip feels useless, and charge is just a shorter distance version of the dash that smacks the player around a bit. Nothing worth the price of admission, but there is a surprising amount of strategy to go with the remaining abilities, especially when pairing up with the weapons. You can double protect yourself by using Magic Barrier, while picking up Reflect power-ups so you can avoid getting hit by most attacks while you're racing. Wanna be a speed demon? Equip Squall's Gunblade and go for first place with an added attack and boost, all the while collecting boost power-ups. With each weapon you pick up during the race, you can level up your attack. For example, one of the most powerful attacks is collecting 3 ice attacks.
You know, ice, Isa, and Isa baby. Oh, come on, alright, it's a bad joke.
Each blizzard attack does different things, very similar to other pickups found throughout the levels. Dropping one blizzard attack produces a single puddle of ice for players to slip on, but collect a second back-to-back and unleash a flurry of ice puddles on your foes. Or go for a third to level up to Blizzaga, which leaves players spinning out, taking up a much larger portion of their playtime, allowing you to play catch-up. If someone equips the Mug ability though, they can steal your attack before you unleash it, making for itchy trigger fingers. Or if a player picks Magic Up, they can upgrade when their bar is full, getting a bump from Fire to Fyra. Want to slow down the competition? Grab 3 miniature attacks and watch as your foes are turned to wee versions of themselves, allowing you to smush them or leave them in the dust. Have a blast with the Doom Magic Stone, which allows you to give a temporary death sentence to a character, but don't go near them or they can pass it to you. Or just choose Bahamut's Mega Flare ability and destroy everyone ever.
This is the game's saving grace. Customizable, upgradable assault. It's so much fun trying to save up enough magic stones so that you can attack all the enemies, or a good chunk of them, instead of sitting in dead last waiting for the best items to pop up. The track is your oyster, ready for the slurping.
What?
Graphics and sound in Chocobo Racing vary depending on the category. There are some gorgeous and colorful full-motion video renditions in the game, specifically the intro cutscene, but man, these levels are jarring to look upon. Trees look flat and uninspired, and while the roads themselves are mostly clear as day, there's just so much going on in some of these levels that they oftentimes prove to be more distractions of ugliness and confusion than fantastically artsy. Musically, the game has some solid tunes, but quality, childlike renditions of famous Final Fantasy songs aren't enough to save this soundtrack in your collection. Most tracks do a decent job of keeping up with a fresh and fun inspired traveling theme, but others, especially Chubby Chocobos, make me want to gouge my ears out with an icicle aga. It's not that the composers didn't write quality songs, I just think that the technology makes a lot of tracks feel uninspired. The intro music and White Mage track are standouts, and are definitely worth a listen on their own merits alone.
Well, what else can I say about Chocobo Racing? It hasn't aged well. It's creaky, it's messy, it's got its fair share of problems. But its phenomenal combat system mechanics make it one of my favorite arcade racers of all time, and one I go back to for a laugh whenever I need one. Skip the story, stay for the relay, and long live the Chocobo. This is the game saving grapes. Grapes, yeah.